And so I waited in line, and I'm not kidding. It sold out 2 people in front of me.
No.
And I was like, this isn't supposed to happen to me. Like, don't they know who I am?
Welcome to the club. It's time for another episode of Best of the Tour. This is the show that takes you behind the scenes of your favorite gig posters, tour merch, and the artists who bring it all to life. Let's start the show.
Welcome to another episode of the Best of the Tour podcast. We're your hosts. My name is Mike.
America.
And this is an episode that we have entitled Always a Hoot. It's got many meanings, but the spoiler alert is we're here with one of our friends, buddy for a couple of years now. I feel like we've known you forever, Luke, but it's the one, the only, the amazing Luke Martin.
How you guys doing?
Luke, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me back.
Oh, absolutely. We're excited to catch up and see where you've been over the last couple years. Because if you are a listener of our other podcast, Posters in Every Direction, you might want to go check out episode 21.
Yes. Episode 21 of Posters in Every Direction was Luke was one of our first artists that came on and talked to us on that other site when he did a triptych for the Labor Day weekend for the Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah.
And it was a great episode. There's a lot of background. You can learn a lot about Luke on that one.
Yes.
And so we thought we would just segue and say, if you want to hear about Luke's background, listen to 21 over on Posters in Every Direction.
Yep.
And we're just going to jump into it because Luke's got a crazy amount of stuff going on. So with that, Garcia, Prince, Grateful Dead, San Francisco, mind blown. Like I can only imagine.
It's been a long year. It's been a long year.
A long, strange trip, maybe, right?
Yeah. Hey, some might say I feel like I've kind of exhausted the use of that pun, though. So I'm trying to be more select about my puns these days, I think.
Well, tell us a little bit about, I mean, we follow you, obviously mutuals on the socials. And I mean, we've seen a lot of your work recently has been either art prints, kind of personal artworks, your book. That's been a big launch.
I did in fact put a book out.
Yeah. Awesome. It's called Nothing New. If you have not picked it up yet, Mike and I were lucky to be one of the kind of initial supporters of Luke's art book, and it's phenomenal.
Thanks, guys.
For me as an art history major in college, like I love art books because there's just something tangible about it. But obviously we're big fans of your work. So that to me was really cool to see a lot of the process of how you were creating the art. But also it looks like you have just been diving headfirst into a lot of Grateful Dead, especially this year with Grateful Dead 60, their Sphere run and Dead and Company. So let's talk the Dead.
Okay.
You're like, where to start?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm trying to figure out. I think it was a kind of funny convergence, I think, how it all sort of came together this year, but also with it being the 60th anniversary of the Dead, it felt fitting for this year. And I think it's funny because I had this batch of projects that all came out. I feel like I still have more ideas for other Dead projects I'd like to do, but at this point I'm like, maybe I should spend some time and give something to the people who don't care about the Dead as much, and just kind of I turn off that part of my brain for a little bit. But no, it's been a really awesome progression throughout the year to work on these projects. I guess starting, I guess, should I just go? Should I just,
let's just wherever you want to start, because, again, and I think for I saw something that was like one of your last kind of main sort of gig posters was what's behind us. If you're not watching, we have Goose from 2024 in Charleston, South Carolina. Yep. And that was one of, I think, your last sort of big gig posters. And then really you went into book and then some personal art and then
it's kind of been a weird shift over the last few years, because I feel like when I look at the work I was doing from like 2017 to 2021, it was just like gig poster. And now it's kind of like it's a gig poster, or it's a lino cut, or it's like a book, or it's I don't know, any other art print releases and stuff like that. And so I think I feel like part of me keeps waiting for things to get consistent with like what exactly I'm working on and putting out. But at the same time, I think the diversity of the projects kind of helps me stay more engaged these days. I'm really struggling to not get jaded and curmudgeon-y with sitting at my desk drawing all day. But then I look around and I'm like, at the end of the day, Jim Mazza, I know you guys are good friends with him. Jim Mazza told me one time, he was like, the worst day at this job is still better than the best day at just about any other job. And I do always try to remind myself of that.
That's fantastic. And we often on this podcast ask for some notes for younger and up and coming artists. So that's one that we should like clip out, soundbite, and save.
Hey, there you go. Make sure I quote Jim on that though. I mean, but I think everyone can kind of relate, or most of us artists can kind of relate to that sentiment in one way or another. But
well, I know we alluded to the Grateful Dead Prince, the Jerry Prince, as we kind of refer to them. Let me just direct our listeners, check out Luke Martin's Instagram handle, suburban_Avenger. And you can see his post from a little while back, July 31st. And he talks about this new project at that time. It was a quartet of Prince titled The Decades Between, a tribute to the life and legacy of Jerry Garcia. I don't think I need to explain to listeners who Jerry Garcia was, so I'm just going to leave it at that, right? But like, I mean, somebody that's such a monumental music figure, founding member of the Grateful Dead. We happen to know Luke a little bit. We know that you're also a passionate fan of the music and the history of the Grateful Dead. So that's my intro to it, and I just want to shut up and let you talk and hear the story from your perspective.
Okay. So basically, in 2020, before COVID, pre-COVID, we're going way back here, wine and pop back. I started working with Bottleneck Gallery, and they approached me about doing a project together, and they asked me if I want to do movie posters. I was like, I don't really want to do any movie posters right now. And then we started talking about doing Grateful Dead projects. I admittedly couldn't really tell you much about the Grateful Dead at that point. I didn't listen to them growing up, wasn't exposed to them growing up. I knew them through other artists doing, Grateful Dead posters and Dead and Company posters and stuff like that. But as far as my personal connection to it, non-existent. Wasn't there at all. But so I did this first poster, the Bertha poster, as it's become known, in February of 2020, drawing very heavily from my love of Alphonse Mucha and Art Nouveau. Mucha, on my Mount Rushmore of dead artists, Mucha's like 3.5 of the faces, and the other one's Monet, and a quarter of it's like Edward Hopper. But if you look at stuff I was doing in high school, I was doing the Art Nouveau frameworks, like, drawing inspiration from Mucha and that kind of stuff. And so, in my more like, I don't want to say like professional career, but I guess like professional career as an artist, like I wanted to do a tribute to Mucha. I wanted to draw from those themes and that framework and the imagery and do this Art Nouveau tribute to him. And, if you look at the posters of Stanley Mouse and Alton Kelly and Rick Griffin and everything, you can see that Art Nouveau inspiration to the point where some of these posters, like, they just directly ripped some of Mucha's muses and then put like, Grateful Dead or Big Brother Holding Company over it and stuff like that. So it's like Mucha's thumbprint is just all over the modern poster scene. And so I did this Bertha poster in February of 2020, and then there was her pair, Jack Straw, which came out in October of 2020, and then Saint Stephen, the middle piece, to come out in February of 2022. And so I did this whole series, and it was really, I don't know, I don't want to sound too
it was well received.
It really put my work in front of a lot of people who hadn't seen my work before. It was, I think that trilogy is really kind of something that has become many feathers in my hat, and is something I've always been really proud of. But it has been how a lot of people have been exposed to my work. Yeah. And it's funny because in this 2-year span, when I did the first poster, I couldn't tell you anything about the Grateful Dead. By the time I finished the third poster, they were my favorite band. And so that was really that really is what got me into it. And I think something for me is like, when I'm sitting home and drawing all day, like all I do is listen to music. I don't really listen to podcasts. I'll watch shows when I'm winding down and stuff, but it's like I love just my Spotify stats at the end of the year are insane every year.
You're gonna have to share them with us towards the end of 25.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Hey, if you're like us, you love supporting the independent artists who make the art for the posters we love. So if you're looking for a new poster, look no further than shop.invisibleindustries.com. You can find their print collections, including art prints, limited edition prints, remarks, original works, and much, much more.
So go on over to shop.invisibleindustries.com to go check out what they've got in store.
I don't mean to derail, but it's also kind of what I do. But like, how do you go into that project for the first effort, right? The Bertha, and you're not as familiar, maybe hadn't even listened to a stitch of music at that point. And then are you listening to the music as you're developing that piece? And is that what gets you in?
No,
or how did you start listening?
So for those ones, it's the Dead has so much iconography, so it's like I was able to pretty much create this entire piece without very little knowledge of the band, just working off of the imagery that had already existed. And I think that is something that I'm really proud of. The biggest contrast between that Dead trilogy and this Garcia quartet is when you look at these Garcia pieces, there is Dead iconography really subtly sprinkled throughout, but it's not at all like a major presence in the piece. And that's something that I'm really happy with, that it's like, it's more of a focus on Jerry and nature and, birth and, what's the word I'm looking for?
Sort of these
Garden of Eden kind of vibes, but as far as actually getting into listening to them, to answer your question, in summer of 2021, I was kind of just like, all right, I'm going to see what all the hype is about. And it was really kind of shelving my preconceived notions, shelving the bias that I had of meeting, a few too many spun out deadheads and stuff like that. And just being like, okay, I'm going to go at this from a fresh perspective. And I know my mom's listening to this, or my mom will listen to this, but whatever. But I got really stoned. I listened to American Beauty, and I was like, this is amazing. And it just took like one listen, and I was like, this is incredible. And I was like, I get it. And for me, it's like what I was saying with like listening to a lot of music. Like I will find a song I will like, and I will listen to that song on repeat for hours and hours and hours. And so it was like, getting into the Dead was so cool because I could find a song that I really like. Like the first one was Deal. Like Deal was the first song that really hooked me. And then it's like I could listen to 30 different versions of the same song and hear all the different nuances and all the ways that it was played differently throughout all the decades and throughout member changes and everything like that. And so between just the insane catalog to pull back from, and then just the history, like it's like when I get really into a band, like I want to know everything about the band. I want to know the members' blood types. I want to know, what happened when, where they were, XYZ, everything. I want to just know all the history that I can know. And I don't think this Garcia series could have really happened unless that's how my relationship was or became, I guess, just because it's like I felt myself pulling from all that history that I've learned throughout these last few years to kind of put these together.
That's amazing. And for what you said sort of about this, like going down essentially the rabbit hole, or so to speak. I mean, Mike and I, admittedly, the same thing. Like I didn't grow up on the Grateful Dead music. I grew up on like classic rock and, Led Zeppelin and the Rolling Stones and Fleetwood Mac.
Dylan, the Beatles.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm in that world. But like I said, didn't really have anyone growing up listening to it. My best friend, Jessie, huge Deadhead. Her parents took her and her brother to Dead shows when they were like kids, like, and it is like, can you imagine? Right. So like, it's ingrained in her brain and her body and her soul and everything about that. But like Mike and I actually went to Goose. This Goosemess that we have behind us was your poster for one of the Weekender. Goose actually in one of the second night did their encore.
Yeah, they did the Help Slit Franklin trio. I listened to that. It was good. It was really good.
And for our listeners, like this is how in sync and like Erica is in my brain stealing everything I was going to say. So you're going to cheer Erica. Go ahead, keep going because you're hitting on all the points that I was.
Well,
gonna go for.
So again, I mean, I've listened to
the
the
same
Dead.
thing,
had listened to it here and there and knew the big, the Scarlet Begonias and the Casey Joneses and like the hits. But this trilogy of songs, to me, I was like very unfamiliar with it.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a couple, this is like one of those cool like moments. I have chills even just retelling the story, but there was a couple in front of us in the area we were at, and they were an older couple, and we, beginning of the show, we're talking to them, and they are big Deadheads, been following the Dead for 50 years, and picked up Goose a few years back, and basically kind of continued on. When I say those first couple notes,
I bet they lost it. I bet they lost it.
And there was a collective, like, you
Gasp.
could feel the electricity in the air. Because Goose, you probably know a little bit about it, it's this convergence of Grateful Dead fans and Fish fans and Dave fans and anybody who's been widespread panic sort of in this jam band scene. Yeah. People from all different sort of angles are finding something.
Well, and that's
when those Dead tunes came on, man, we knew it was something special because of the way the room lit up. The
energy shifted.
I mean, and I think Fish is getting close, but you think of the reverence that the Dead has across the entire scene. You're talking about how Goose is hitting this convergence of so many different genres. That's like Billy Strings. I think that's what made Billy so big, is that it's like he really has hit that convergence of bluegrass and jam and folk and rock and just all of that. And I think the genre blend seems to really be what's working for these bands these days.
Yeah. And because it picks up on the things that you like just fall in love with. And you hear, like you said, you hear that one song and you're like, I'm going down the rabbit hole. I'm going to listen to that song forever and ever. And I mean, we did. That was that Help Slip Franklin's Tower. Like we just were like, okay, let's go listen to every version.
Yeah. And like you were saying, when you heard listen to American Beauty the first time, I was like, I couldn't get that. Particularly the part from Franklin's Tower, I just couldn't get it out of my head for like days. Yeah, just like something about it musically, right?
And here's some trivia. Here's a bit of trivia for you. Jerry Garcia said that he borrowed that riff, the Franklin's Tower riff, from "Take a Walk on the Wild Side" by Lou Reed.
Oh, wow.
Which you can hear it. That's right. Yeah, it's there. It's definitely there. I think
that's badass. Like, I think that you hear things that sound similar and then you're like, oh, that's awesome to hear that. And for your set of the Jerry posters, I mean, like these prints, I think when I look at them, it looks like it could be easily in a biography. Like, I'm going to say, like, our daughter's a Taylor Swift fan. Like, it's the Eras tour. It's like your Eras tour.
Okay,
Jerry.
Yeah, I'll take it. The Season store. The Season store.
Season
store. Yeah. I'll take it.
But it's got your style to it. It has those sort of like cool sepia tones, right? I mean, it's almost like some of it like stained glass work that you put into this. But for me, it's like the word tapestry comes to mind. Like I feel like Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade was like, tapestry? Surely there are tapestries, right? Like that's when I see the sort of
castle and there are many tapestries.
Exactly, this is my people. Look, exactly my reference. Right? I can see these translated into that, like those large panels, that you would see. Almost like hanging in like the Church of the Grateful Dead, right? Like it's that monumental.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting for me to hear you talk about how your perspective and fandom of the band changed from first project to this, because I definitely get that vibe, that feel from the work. It's like, not to say that your original trilogy wasn't a masterpiece, and they were brilliant works, and the skeleton.
See, I look at them now and I'm like, oh, I could have done this so much better.
Right. It was, but it's like that was almost like commissioned for an artist to put together, and this seems like, for lack of a better term, the ultimate fan passion project.
It was, and so I guess to kind of talk about the origin of this a little bit more. So I finished the Dead trilogy with Bottleneck, and then time passed, and I had started thinking, I guess it must have been maybe, I don't know, 2023-ish, maybe 2024. I had thought about so Muka, he throughout like 1895 to, I want to say, like 02, I think. He did 3 different sets of these season sprints, where it was a set of 4 muses kind of made to represent 4 different seasons. And so I had thought about it. I was like, what if I did Garcia, what if I did Garcia throughout these 4 decades of his life? Like, the band started in 65, he died in 95. So there's that clean 65, 75, 85, 95. And I was like, okay, 4 decades, 4 seasons. And then I had started thinking about 2025 would be the 60th anniversary of the band and the 30th anniversary of his passing. And so by the time Dead and Company announced these 60th anniversary shows that happened, I'd already been working on these for like 3 months.
Oh, wow.
I was ahead of the game on it. And because I think even with, those shows aside, all of that separate, I was kind of just, I had been thinking about this for a while. And so in the start of this year, I was kind of like, okay, if this is going to happen, I gotta start. And so I started them in February, and it was about 6 months. It was about 6 months doing just these 4. And then I got contacted for the San Francisco project. And I was like, well, I gotta do it. I can't say no to that.
Yeah, you can't say no to that.
Yeah. So I think it was really cool. It's just how everything came together. I think being able to work on this huge passion project on my own with Bottleneck Gallery and really just, I did the 4 clayboards by hand. Each clayboard was 8 inches by 23 inches, I think. So hand drawing those, scanning them in, reworking a bunch of the line work, coloring it. It beat the hell out of me. But
wow. And so is that the size of the print? They're like skinny.
The prints are 12 by 36. So if you take 2 24 by 36s and put them together, and it's, that's about the wall space that they take up.
Wow.
That's going to be unbelievably epic. Now, are they going to be individual? Or are you going to have anything that's like a uncut?
We didn't do uncuts because I think in order to do an uncut, we would have to scale it down, and I can't either. Yeah. I don't think they would scale down just because there really is a lot of really tiny details worked throughout all of them that it just I think it would hurt to see them smaller.
It would have to be wallpaper.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, doing a 3 foot by 4 foot uncut would be a little daunting, I think.
Yeah. So everybody
maybe I'll sweet talk Bottleneck into doing like a small edition for Black Friday or something.
Hey, there you go. Well, and that's the thing about for us as collectors. Okay, I can talk about this from my perspective, but I know Mike, and Mike is literally like the Pokemon kid who grew up with like gotta catch them all. So for us,
hey, my 2 older brothers are into Pokemon right now. They both going to tournaments and collecting the packs and everything. Like it's
it's huge.
It's back in a big way.
Yeah. But from that, like, you're being basically, as we were kids, like, you got to get them all, got to catch them all, whole collection. So for us as collectors, we're literally like, well, if there's 3, we got to get all 3. Right. And if they're all 3 foils, we have to get all 3 foils. Yep. Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, kids, you're not going to college anymore.
Sorry, kids. We got posters everywhere. But so you work on this for 6-7 months?
6 months about.
Wow. And now did you do an art show? So in conjunction with the Grateful Dead 60 shows in San Francisco, Golden Gate Park.
Yes.
Like how much more iconic can that get?
It's like ground zero for the Grateful Dead.
Right.
I mean, it is truly the birthplace, the cradle of civilization for the dead. You know?
So you got to go, first of all, got to go to the shows as a fan.
It was very cool.
Get that experience. And then had an art show. Is it the Haight Street Art Gallery?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Haight Street Art Center, they did a huge show throughout this weekend and the weeks following of the Grateful Dead's drummer, Mickey Hart. He has a lot of the pieces that he does where he moves paint around drum heads and cymbals using sound vibrations and kind of like, he'll tie a paint can to a rope and then like do like the spirograph kind of things, like dripping it around and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
And the patron saint of my entire life, Ben Marks, who he's my best friend. He's kind of like the current acting curator for Hate Street Art Center, and so
very
he, and he helped me on this book project extensively. He edited this whole thing. He is. Ben, if you're listening to this, I miss you. Thank you for everything. But so Ben was curating this Mickey Hart show, and I've talked to him extensively about these pieces. I'm glad that he's on West Coast time, so then when I'm up working at like 1 a.m., I can send him updates and be like, "Hey, what do you think Jerry's face looks like here? Does this look okay?" And he'll give me this feedback. But leading up to it, I asked him about it. I was kind of like, "Do you think there's a way I could give you these originals to put on display in San Francisco?" Because I think it's like I was doing so much of this work kind of for this event, but also not for this event. It's like it was stuff that I was going to be doing regardless of if these shows were happening or not. But then I was like, I really, really want to have these on display. And so and he said, yeah, they were able to get me two wall slots. And so I sent him the 4 originals, and those got framed and hung up. And then we got a rush printing for a set of the final prints digitally. So it's like one wall, there was the originals, and then across from it, there was the actual prints. And then in the rest of the gallery, it was all Mickey Hart's work. So it's like to be able to share that space was really, it was really cool.
That's incredible.
Was really something.
Gives me the chills because, again, like, we, like, as fans of music, right? It's one thing to be able to be a fan, and we show up, we go to I don't have like a lot of creativity in my body. I'm a creative person, but I'm not an artistic person, if that makes any sense.
I mean,
Rick Rubin would say anyone is an artist. If you're anything that you make, whether it's like a meal or a new route to walk home or something like that, anything that hasn't existed before that is then coming into creation makes you an artist.
Okay, well, I will take that.
If you're like me and Erica, you love passing out stickers while attending concerts with friends, making new friends. Where do you get these stickers? Look no further than stickerrobot.com. They are renowned for the highest quality sticker printing on the planet, world famous, custom outdoor silkscreen sticker printing, free US shipping, and we have a promo for you. If you visit stickerrobot.com/invisible, you will receive 10% off your next high quality screen printed sticker order. So act fast.
Going right now.
Right now.
Right now. And also, thanks to our friends over at the Rock Poster Society. If you don't know TRPS, they are a nonprofit behind the world's longest-running rock poster collection shows. That includes the Festival of Rock Posters in San Francisco, which is a bucket list thing for Mike and I to go to. They have been championing the art of poster for decades. They support both the artists and those people who collect them and preserve them. If you want to get involved, go over to trps.org if you want to become a member and check out their upcoming events.
Check them out.
We show up and we go to shows, and like and we love the art that we get to pick up. And I can't even imagine the feeling of being such a fan to then have your artwork, because you did your project with the Garcia prints, but then also you were a commissioned artist for that weekend, that event as well.
Yep.
And so how did that feel? Like, first of all, the experience of the entire Grateful Dead 60 event, but then also having your art as such a commemorative piece that people are going to have on their walls forever. That's a big question.
Yeah, that is a big question. And it's a lot of people.
What's funny? When it was all happening, it all happened so fast that I feel like it was almost impossible to really kind of absorb being there, because it was such a whirlwind, because it's like I was putting these 4 pieces out, and then the GD60 posters, and I was like, oh, I got to make this post, I got to send this newsletter, I gotta respond to these emails, I got to do all this stuff, and it was just a whirlwind. It was such a whirlwind, but it's like, looking back, I'm just like, it was amazing. I mean, it's you talk about. I feel like in these recent years, I'd kind of reached a point with posters where I was like, I kind of started to feel like I had done everything that I wanted to do. Like I didn't really feel like there was many gigs out there that were ones that would really, really stand out to me. but this kind of, I mean, this was a dream gig. I think it was,
Yeah.
I think between a dream gig with the doing the Dead and Company poster, but also just being able to have this quartet of Garcia posters be this small part that I was kind of independently bringing to this event and everything. It was amazing. I think it
And
was
so
amazing.
let me throw this at you. This is the broad question
Mhm.
is sort of what's next with these, but the specific question that I have is there any opportunity to see these images, specifically the seasons of Jerry, in some other medium, in merch, in, a cool t-shirt, or in, a smaller commemorative size or something like that. And anything you can share. If you can't share, I don't want you to.
Well, so at present, no, there's not.
Okay.
There's nothing planned. I did that 6 foot tall Bertha panel last year, and at
Right.
one point in time, I was like, I want to hand paint a set of 6 foot tall Garcia panels, but I was just like, I don't think I want to do that. There's nothing really planned, but I mean, I guess maybe the door could be open somewhere in the future. They make me
Shameless
think of
plug. Would love t-shirts. Just saying that, but I'm the
but
merch.
it's like it wouldn't fit on a t-shirt,
That's true.
Yeah.
You'd
if
lose the
anything-
detail.
one thing I've thought about is the four stained glass windows behind him. I designed each of those on their own separate file, so I have those unbroken circles as their own things. And I've thought about, at the very least, stickers would be cool. At the very most, bandanas would be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've also thought like record slit mats could be really cool, but I also did record slit mats a few years ago, and they sold horribly. If you're listening to this and you want to see record slit mats of these stained glass windows, go to my website and buy some of these
There
record
you
slit
go.
mats I already put out.
We're going to clear the store first.
We need to clear out the
to make some
inventory,
room.
right?
So, here's what I'm kind of noodling on is, as you've kind of grown in your career and you're feeling like there are projects that are work projects, you get hired, and there's work projects. And again, for us as collectors, when we see your artwork specifically, because we have a lot of your work, so we love it, we do. But how do you stay inspired then, right? Like, how do you kind of keep the fire going in between the work pieces and then obviously, passion pieces?
I feel like this question is coming with the assumption that I have kept the fire going.
It's reflective in your work, though. I will say that. Like I said,
Well, I think with this Garcia series, with this series specifically, I had let this cook in my brain for 2 years, before I really started it. And so it's like I had such a long list of ideas and Easter eggs and little details to put in. So with that, I was ready to go. But I think, I don't know, since these projects, it's been tough, I think, because I think,
did you throw a lot, like you threw everything you had into it?
yeah, I think it's like I really, and it was kind of similar with the book project in the sense where it's like spending such a long period of time on one project, but then it's like, it's done, it gets put out, and then I move on to the next thing, and it's like, well, I climbed so high here, so it's like, why do I want to do this smaller stuff here, and I think I'm kind of struggling with that too. I guess in a sense, like, I'm working on taking things a little less seriously and not thinking about each project as being like, oh, this has to be the best thing ever, but just thinking about it as like, okay, it's like, I want to have fun. I think I'm trying to kind of rewire my brain a little bit to learn how to have fun again and not take everything so seriously and not kill myself in the process of getting these jobs. But I guess as far as keeping inspiration goes, I got really into running this year.
Okay.
And so when I go on my runs, I kind of turn my brain off and I just kind of think about ideas and what I want to do. Like if I'm stuck on something, I'll kind of brainstorm while I'm on these runs, and then usually when I come back, I'll kind of know how I want to move forward.
There's nothing like putting your feet on the pavement. I mean, Mike and I are big walkers.
Yeah.
We're not so much runners, but
Very, very slow runners. Very slow.
slow to a pace of a walk.
But it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. But I started doing it more seriously back in April and doing a half marathon next month, which I'm pretty excited.
Wow.
For. Yeah.
That's awesome.
epic.
That's a great achievement to be able to work hard to like.
Yeah, like I wanted to set some non-work related goals this year, and that felt like a good one.
And I know from, following you on Instagram, you love to travel and photography. You shoot, with a real camera.
Yeah,
I think
do film.
Very, very cool because again, we've talked about this. I think a lot of the artists we talk to generally are around our age, maybe, but we're a little nostalgic for things like records and actual photographs and magazines, and seeing how kind of the kids are back into these things nowadays is so cool because it is tangible, it's tactile. We have our, we have our phones and these things, we live through them, but to disconnect, but to still be able to capture moments, memories in a way that again, doesn't feel like you're living it through the lens of something else through a screen. I think it's really important these days.
Yeah.
No, totally.
And I'll tell you what, feedback, man, for what it's worth, I know, especially with pieces like the Seasons of Jerry, that's got to be like getting to the peak of Everest. But I would say definitely keep having fun, right? And your art is incredible, and it's incredibly welcome by the poster fan community, at least the folks that we interact with. Like Erica told the story about the Goose print. I can't tell you how excited we were to be there and see your work as one of the two for the weekend. And we happen to have the Super TED early access. So I was like, sweet, we're getting the foil. No pressure. It's awesome.
Easy, done, we're set.
Right.
Yeah.
But then right before that, and I mean, this is cutting back, but another one of the bands that we follow pretty closely is the Dave Matthews Band. And that was where we first kind of got exposed to your work. And we were at Madison Square Garden last fall, and you had a piece there that was the Night Ants. And when I tell you that people's jaws hit the floor, I mean, you're in a city like New York.
I wish I could do something that good again. I wish I could come up with an idea that clever as that one was.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, you've done these things. They will come. They will come again. I know because, I mean, the creativity and the ability to just sort of pay that homage, right, to something, but also make it your own and tie it to the community with revisiting your previous Ants piece that you had done for the Dave Matthews Band.
But being really inspired by the Edward Hopper Nighthawks print, which is just, I saw it, I immediately was like, are you kidding me? Because I studied Hopper in college. So that was such a cool moment. Yeah. And the
and then trying to figure out where we have like 3 or 4 feet of wall space, and it's like, well, if we frame it, we probably need 5 feet of wall space. And then
you gotta account for the margins on the side.
Yeah,
that's right.
But it was really cool because not only did you have the show edition, but then you did some artist proofs, and there is a colorway. The highlight
the sketchbook edition, the
sketchbook editions, which are so cool because again, it's just another way for us as collectors to see something in a completely different way.
Yeah. Well, and I think with a lot of the work that I do, it's like I do the clayboard by hand. Talking, you were talking about film and stuff a few minutes ago. It's like that's something where especially with the rise of AI and digital art and everything, it's like I have clung so tightly to that hand-drawn medium, which it's the cross that I bear, I think, doing all this stuff by hand. But it's like that's really where I put in a lot of my time and effort is into that line work. And so it's like I really love doing key line editions of my work because then it's like you can see all the colors stripped out and just the line work. And I think it does really kind of show it in a much different context because I think it's as close as you can get to having a print of what like the clapboard drawing would look like as a final,
And for that, I hope that we've talked actually a little bit about AI and in sort of the grander scheme of things, but like when it comes to poster arts, and we actually just had an episode with Luke Priest, we were talking about AI and kind of his philosophy on it, but then also some parameters now that are coming out amongst, you know, your contracts that are like prohibiting AI, which I'm sure that there are benefits to it in some industries in some way, shapes, and forms, but in the art world, you know, I think that I don't want pen on paper to become like a lost art. You know, I want like there to be a revitalization
You're gonna
of
get
it.
Luke worked up. I can see it.
I know.
See, and I think this is, you know, well, then this is something that I don't know. I've become very bitter towards, because I take a lot of pride in doing stuff by hand, and it adds on a shit ton of time to the process, and it is definitely not the easiest way to work. And so with these Garcia pieces, you know, I spent so much time doing them by hand, and a few days before they were released, I put together this teaser of like a grid of just a bunch of close crops of different parts of like the flowers and the faces and the hands and all this stuff.
Yep.
And I remember I posted this teaser in the Dead and Company subreddit, and it got ripped apart because everyone thought it was AI. They were like, this is AI slop, AI garbage. Yeah, no, man, we all can all tell this is fake. Just destroy it. And I'm like, great. I'm glad I spent fucking 6 months drawing this shit just for these losers. These losers on Reddit to tell me that my art is AI. And it's just like, I think it's between that, and then it's also just like something that I've been kind of frustrated with, which I realize we're getting off topic now. I'm just complaining. Something that I've gotten frustrated with is, unfortunately, I've come to find a lot of people buying posters, they don't care how you got to the final product. Like, they don't care if you spent 8 hours versus 200 hours on a poster. And I'm like, great, well, fuck me, I guess. Like, and I don't know. It's like sometimes I'll talk to my peers and they'll be like, yeah, I did this in 15 hours. And it's like, you know, I think looking at what the bands are paying, it's like, you know, if I spend 200 hours on a poster versus 15 hours, I'm going to get paid the same amount. And so I think that's kind of where my frustrations with my job have come at present.
That's totally valid. But I'm going to kind of
I want to cut you off really quick and say, for everyone listening, I'm really grateful to have this job. I love my job. I've just been really frustrated with it for the last year, and I'm figuring it out.
So keep the comments nice on Reddit, everybody.
On,
that's the message.
Be like I'm going to be like your grandmother. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. But from my perspective, and kind of I as a collector, and maybe I am a microcosm of collectors because of my art background and because we have a vast collection, and we can be critical of the art that we have, but like I greatly appreciate when I have a piece that is so detailed, and like I appreciate it even more when you guys come out and say, you know what, this took me 200 hours to do. Be like, holy shit, I am so grateful that I get the opportunity now to have this on my wall. I walk by it. I enjoy, like I said, the Goose one is in our poster podcast room. We've got the Three Sisters, which were your Gorge piece. Those are like very, very precious to us.
I think prior to the Garcia set, that those ones, that Gorge triptych was really, I think that's, you know, when I think of pieces where I really put my all in it, it was those.
And you've done those as an art print as well. I know that there was one that you actually added. You spent more time on your art print.
I added more to it. Which, you know, it's funny, looking back, I'm like, I wish I just didn't add anything else. I wish I just took the text out, released it as it is. I think it would have been a lot better. But, you know, I guess that's...
And I think, like Erica said, of course, your read on it, your feelings are valid, but just to offer you an opposing view, I think, like Erica said, sort of as the fans that walk up at the concert, right, waiting for that sort of Christmas morning like moment, if we haven't already seen it leaked online or whatnot, right? Of like, what's
you're Dave Matthews fans too. You guys get those leaks pretty early in the morning.
That's usually. Right. We get those leaks. Goose usually comes out about 3, and it's like,
well, you know, it's funny. Most of the time, it's like you have to wait for the band to share it, but Dave Matthews usually doesn't share the posters, so it's kind of like open season where it's like, you know, I personally like to be the one to share my new work, you know, so, but it's like, I'm having to beat out the guys who are hacking the Dave Matthews Band warehouse website to leak the posters and stuff.
These guys got the email first.
Yeah.
But what I was getting at is there are definitely moments where we walk up and we see a piece that there are pieces that don't resonate with you, right? Which is fair. There are other pieces, and I'm not going to give any specific examples, but where we're just
tell me your least favorite artist.
Right. But where it just looks like, for lack of a better word, like phoned in, right? Like it looks like you said, I could have spent 10 hours on this instead of 100. And my point to you is I feel like I can tell. I feel like, or a lot of times I can tell at least. And those moments where you hit something with such a chord, part of that moment, that wow factor that I get is knowing like that it meant as much to the artist to create that piece in that moment and in that space as it means to me to be picking it up, right? Because it's beyond this. We've talked about this before over on posters, sort of the history of the gig poster, right? Starting with handbills and moving into, and we've had guests here on Best of the Tour talking about handbill work was how they started. And the gig poster now, it's beyond handbill. Yeah. Hopefully it's not just blue ticky tacked to your wall or stapled or pinned, although we have some friends that like to put people on tilt by doing that stuff. I mean, they're framed. You get people talking about, museum quality versus just your standard off the shelf.
Your Michael's frames.
Right. And then you have a piece or a couple pieces like you do, right? With the 4 Seasons of Jerry or with the Night Ants that become, well, these are definitely custom frame jobs.
Right.
And we know for a fact, just from listeners and friends and collectors, that there are people that really, using your work specifically, Luke, that they make that investment to protect, to pay for, protect the work and display it. Yeah. And so I would say for all of that stuff you read on Reddit, right? Tune it out and just think of the fans that are spending the hard-earned dollars to frame the Night Ants or the Jerrys to keep them.
Also for us, you're talking about your time putting into the work. For a poster collector, when we see a poster, we're like, we are having it, we're getting in line early and we're spending hours and hours and hours waiting because one, we know we want that in our collection. It is worthwhile for us to invest the time into it. And, two, if we can, Mike always says this, he's like, if I know I can get the print, I can get there early, like I'm gonna stand in line,
What's the old, you just telling me all I have to do is stand here? Okay, watch me go.
The one time I ever stood in a poster line was, I went to the Ryman in Nashville for the first time in 2021. Of course I was there. So I was like, I got to get the Hatch print. Like I want to get the Hatch poster. And so I waited in line. And I'm not kidding. It sold out 2 people in front of me.
No.
And I was like, this isn't supposed to happen to me. Like, don't they know who I am?
Welcome to the club.
No, and it's like, I thought of all of the emails I've gotten of people being like, hey man, I tried to get your poster, but it sold out 3 people in front of me. And it is just the most defeating feeling ever. Yeah. But after that happened, I went around in the lobby offering, I offered like $100. I was offering people $100 for their Hatch poster, and I got one. And I'm glad that I did. It was worth the $100. I'm happy to have paid $100 for it.
Luke Martin, artist of the people. That's
welcome to the club. You are now a official card carrying member of the. It sold out 2 people.
Getting
in front
shafted
of
by the sellout. Yeah.
No, Hatch is awesome, and I'm lucky. I went to go see the Indigo Girls is one of my favorite bands. They played at a place here in Durham, North Carolina. Deepak. Love Deepak.
Yep. And Hatch does the Deepak posters.
Deepak actually has a contract with Hatch, and they don't sell posters. They give them away.
Oh, whoa. That's cool.
You submit for a lottery ticket, essentially. You put in your name, your email, you hit the button, and it's one of these, you get a ticket, come on down. And if you are not in the area.
Yeah.
I left work. I got the ticket. I left work. I was like, guys, I gotta go pick some. I'll be right back. And I drove to Durham. I picked up my Hatch print, and now I have it. And it's it's like one of those things.
You got that forever. You got
that forever. And that's, I think that's the long and the short of it from a collector's perspective is, not that yes, there is a fun aspect of the chase of it. I know artist print drops, and you probably can give us from the seller perspective, but as a buyer perspective, like APs are going like hotcakes these days, like seconds.
Depends on which one.
Depends on what it is. Yeah,
Depends on which brand. And we know that there's also challenges out there. But certain ones,
bots
they
and
do.
All that
well,
stuff.
It's definitely, I think, something that's kind of gotten tough. Which, like, I'm not. I don't. I obviously, us as artists, we are really dependent on the bands for this work and everything. But one thing that's gotten kind of tough in recent years is lots of these bands are now also putting up their own APs, or not their own APs, but they're putting them up for sale online, which is really tough because then it's like you're having to directly compete with the bands to get these sales and stuff like that
for your own artwork.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Well, and I mean,
is there anything coming up for you in the near future, AP wise, Luke, or anything we should?
Not for a while. No, I'm working on some stuff right now. Well, I mean, I guess these Garcia APs. Those will be coming out. Hopefully early October, within the next 1, 2, 3 weeks. So I'm looking forward to that.
And how do you know yet how you're going to be selling those? Are those going to be a set of 4?
I might just do singles, honestly.
Singles.
And then I think if someone wants to get the full set, they can just go through and select 1, 2, 3, 4. All of it. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. But I'm not totally sure. Don't quote me on that.
Sure.
But yeah, that's kind of how I'm leaning.
Any details on what those APs will look like as far as variants, colorways, foils?
Same options bottleneck had. Yes.
Okay.
Pretty small edition sizes. I only have about 100 sets total.
Oh, wow.
Timed edition we didn't really move too many. I was kind of surprised. So, for my APs, it's going to be some smaller numbers, I think.
Well, for those who are listening, who are, 1, huge Grateful Dead fans, 2, fans of Luke Martin's artwork, we're going to be putting the episode out very close to the time that you'll be doing the drop, and so we'll help kind of promote and make sure that people know what's upcoming and what's kind of happening. And
I have to tell you, listeners, if you're listening to this before the drop's coming out, don't sleep on these because they're sold out on bottleneck galleries. I don't know about how the timing and the flow went, like Luke was mentioning, but right now
we did like the timed edition for, it's like, they were for sale for the weekend in the beginning of August. So it's in Dead War, there's the days between, August 1st is the day Garcia was born. August 9th was the day he passed away. So it's kind of that, week and change is sort of this, special time of reverence and remembrance. And so we did this timed edition throughout that period.
That's very cool. That is awesome. That's very, very
cool. As of now, that time edition is over. Not able to get them through bottleneck, correct? That's what I'm seeing on the website. And again, part of this, if you're listening, sometimes I go to these websites and I'm looking, I'm like, oops, I bought that. I can't do that right now. So I'm one of these fans eagerly awaiting the Luke Martin AP drop for the Jerry Prince, because they are, I'm looking at them again. Check them out on Luke's Instagram on Suburban Avenger, and that post from back in July 31. Luke, they're breathtaking, man. Just incredible work.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, well, sorry, what were you gonna say?
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I don't know. I'm really happy with these. There's a lot of Easter eggs to kind of be broken down and picked apart. I don't know.
It's literally my favorite thing to do in posters.
How much time do we have left? Can I talk about it?
Well, that's we need a part 2. When the drop happens, maybe, because I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, again, we're newer to getting our ears around the Dead's catalog, and we're kind of easing in. Openly, Goose has been a big exposure to us, and we've loved everything we've heard from Goose, and that's been a great avenue for us into it. But just looking at the pieces you did, I have to really study and think about which one I'd pick up if I was just picking up one.
Well, and it's
because
cool.
the guitar is different in each one, and obviously, Jerry's age and what you're used to seeing in most of the space. But
do you have a favorite season?
I think 75. Actually, I really do think 75 is. I think what I look at, the orchids are my favorite, and then the tiger's my favorite animal that I did. But I think all in all, I think 75 is really. I'm really happy with his expression. I think that's my favorite stained glass window. Just the sunburst behind him. I'm really happy with that one. But I mean,
he's so joyful in that picture.
Yeah, one of my favorite details of this set is when you look at the guitars, they're getting slowly lowered as the decades go, and I like the idea in 75 he's kind of leaning back, like ripping a solo or something. But yeah,
I would say the 65 is the one I'm least familiar with, so I've got to kind of learn more about that.
They started playing bluegrass,
and he played the banjo. That's pretty epic.
Yeah,
and then I'm with you. I love the 75 piece. I love the guitar that you have him playing there. But then, I mean, 85 is incredible. And then you get to the 95, and he's there sort of, in the chill shorts
in winter. Shorts in winter. Yeah.
And I love that, again, and for those who even are newer to the Grateful Dead and Jerry Garcia, we know he has the hand that he plays guitar with. He's missing his middle finger. And so you have the handprint in various colorways on each of the seasons in the top of the stained glass, which is just, I mean, it's just a small touch, it feels like, but it's so... Like you were talking about iconography of of like the Grateful Dead. You've got the bears and the skeletons and the handprint is, I think, one of them is what I would consider.
And I think the handprint is really special too, because that's just Jerry, And I did end up adding, like, in the little circles you can see the terrapins and the bears, and then I did like the Jack and Bertha in the middle, and then obviously framing the willow tree as the Steely. But besides that, it's like I really tried to stay away from leaning to not a lot of skeletons, just really trying to focus on nature and really just these seasons. And it was an interesting It was an interesting challenge throughout this to try to represent each different season, but make it still feel cohesive so that as a set, they all still looked good together. And one wasn't super blue and one wasn't super red and, stuff like that.
And I just noticed that the bottom of the print are the Golden Gates, which is just...
That's what I drew that 8 times. I drew that bridge span 8 times.
8 different times. Goodness.
8 times. Yeah.
I mean, this is one of those sets that I know I've got prints in our collection that I come back to and I see something new every single time. Like, I might sit with a print. We do our deep dives over on posters oftentimes, and that's literally Mike and I sitting with the art. And looking at it top to bottom, left to right. And we could spend hours. That's probably why I love going to art museums so much, too.
And this is exactly that type of piece. There's so much in there from the way, the detail that you've lettered, each of the years to using, I believe... I'm going to butcher this, but I believe it's Latin for each of the seasons.
Yes,
is that
it's
right?
Latin.
Okay, see, phew. It's been since 6th grade since I took Latin. So, and like Erica said, those Golden Gate bridges below, sort of bookending the Steal Your Face logo that's done. The Steal Your Face logo for me is one of those just icons of the Grateful Dead that even if you don't know the Dead, you know that logo.
You know the logo. Yeah, exactly.
You've seen it, but I've never seen it like this. You managed to take something so iconic and bring something fresh to it and work in that willow tree. Again, these are Easter eggs for the fans by an artist who clearly has spent some time, but most likely is a fan themselves. So I can't think of any bigger compliment other than incredible work. It's just really incredible.
And that's kind of my goal with these is definitely I want people to be able to have them on the wall for a month and then be able to see different things that they hadn't seen before. And it's, throughout the course of working on these, when I started I kept a note on my computer of just different little Easter eggs, different references I wanted to add in. And I hid the 12 zodiac signs throughout this. I hid references in each of these decades. The Dead had different keyboard players, and all of these keyboard players have all passed away. And so I made references to these keyboard players. And it's like, if you look at the circles in the top corners, it's like each of those are little references to something kind of pertaining to that decade. I wanted to put as much in as I could for people to just pour over indefinitely.
I love that. I think it's magical. It's reflective of the music, but it's also reflective of, like you said, that fire and that passion for what this music now has brought into your life in the last 5 years. I mean, like you said, like haven't really, it wasn't like I've been a lifelong fan. It's been 5 years of like upward
Which
trajectory.
it's like sometimes I kind of feel like a poser when I think about it, because I think about how integral to my career, but also like I have a twin sister and she also loves the Dead, and like that's why I went with to San Francisco and stuff, and so that's been like awesome. A huge thing for us to bond over and just really get into them together and stuff like that. But it's like I wasn't exposed to it growing up. Like my parents didn't listen to it or listen to them. But it's like I'm grateful that I have been able to kind of form my own relationship with their music in this time. And I think I don't know. I would kind of laugh at myself when I was working on these because like I was born 2 years after Garcia died. And so the idea to dedicate so much of my time and energy memorializing someone who I was never even alive at the same time as him. I think it's interesting to me. I think there's something, I don't know if it's poetic or if it's just kind of a funny little trick of life to be noted there.
I think a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And how lucky, are we Eric and I talk about this all the time, to be able to see some of the bands that we do love touring currently, right? Because if you could go back in time, right, and see Jerry play, right, it'd probably be a no-brainer.
I saw Bob Dylan and Willie Nelson the other week. It was pretty great.
Yeah.
Pretty great.
Did you go to Farm Aid or
no? The Outlaw.
Oh, the Outlaw Festival.
Yeah, they came through Maryland.
This is also what I was kind of noodling on when you were kind of talking about it from a perspective of like, how amazing is it that it's so powerful? The music is so powerful that like 60 years of music, and it's they're still bringing in fans every day. Yeah. So again, I've been around and listening to music kind of like tangentially around the Dead for my whole life, but now same kind of thing. Like we're picking it up and we're getting to enjoy it and experience. And I'm calling my friend Jessie and being like, all right, what do I need to listen to next? And she's like, all right, here's the live album. You got to start with this one. You got to go here.
Did she send you Cornell? I bet she sent you Cornell 77. Yeah.
Cornell 77. 100%.
It's like, okay. It's okay. Yeah.
I think they're like, it's the gateway drug to the Dead.
Or Europe 72. That really, like, from American Beauty, Europe 72 was kind of the first like live Dead I started listening to more. And I think that's kind of the gateway for a lot of people. It's just a clean, tight album.
And it's amazing. Again, like I said, I think that's just the power of music, whether it's the Dead or whether it's any band that you pick up. I mean, our son is into Radiohead right now, and like Radiohead's been around for a minute since we were kids.
I think with a lot of this stuff, it's like if it has truly stood the test of time like that, like that means something. I think I really think most of the music that comes out nowadays, I'm gonna sound like such a fucking boomer. It's like most of the music that comes out nowadays, like they don't make music like they used to. It's like I don't know what albums I could think of that have come out in the last like 10 years that I'm still gonna be listening to 50 years from now. And I think that's something that makes the Dead's music so powerful. It does have that legacy behind it. That is really it just carries such a deeper weight. Or, I feel the same with like Dylan or the band or like any of these other older acts where it's just like if the music has stood the test of time, like that means something. That really means something.
Creating generations and generations of fans, whether they're young, old, they've been listening to them for their whole life or a minute. And it's so powerful now to see this intersection again between like art and music, and being able for us to be able to take home the posters from the shows and the bands that we love, to put them on our wall, to walk by them and be like, oh man, that was such a good show, well, what's, as we kind of wrap up our conversation here, and I definitely think we could definitely do a 2.0 conversation here and deep dive into all the Easter eggs, but kind of give us a little bit of what's the end of 2025 looking like for you, kind of personally, professionally, and then what are you looking forward to in the new year?
That's a great question. I have a few poster projects. I'm working on a diptych right now, which is my first time doing a diptych in a little bit. And that's always fun because it it just gives me so much more real estate to work with. So I got that going on. I would like to kind of I'd like to kind of keep doing some screen prints, like if I could release a screen print every other month or something, but I really want to pursue other mediums still. I still really I've really been enjoying doing lino cuts. I've kind of because when doing the scratch board or doing the clay board, it's like the reductive process, and so carving a lino cut block, it's like you're reducing, you're carving away. But for a while now, I've really been wanting to do a multicolored reduction lino cut, like do like a 3 or 4 color print. And so I'd really like to do that over the winter, maybe some more dead projects. But I don't know. I think for a while I put a lot of stress on myself being like, I don't know where my career is going. I don't know what I want to do with my career. I don't even know if I want to do posters anymore. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. But I think right now I'm kind of just taking it one thing at a time. It's like, I know what I'm working on now. I know what I'm going to work on next. I know what I'd like to work on if I get free time. And I think kind of just trying to flow with, I'm really trying to kind of flow with it more rather than try to obsess over what my life is going to look like in 3 years.
Sure.
I'm trying to just I'm trying to have fun with it.
One step at a time.
That's right.
Yeah,
and for us, I hope that we keep seeing gig posters of yours at the bands and that we love to go to see. And also,
you will.
I hope that you keep chasing joy, chasing fun in all aspects. Well, Luke, thank you for joining us over here on Best of the Tour.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We love hanging out with you and hope to see what's next to come.
We'll catch you again, maybe around the AP drop or after I got to figure out which Jerry I'm going to get. That's my current project.
Well, and one thing that I've been telling people are like, oh, I don't have room to display all of them. Buy the set, change them out every 3 months.
Every season they're the same. Cherry.
Exactly. Which I think I might try to do that. And I've started to try to. I think in an effort to not hate my work as much, I've started to try to hang up some of my own work in my apartment, and I really want to try to find a space to hang these up and do that. Just change them out every season. But
that's a great idea. So if you're listening, don't miss out on the AP drop. Make sure you get one for every season and rotate them out and see something new and fresh every single season.
You will see something new.
That's
Luke
awesome.
Martin, always a pleasure. Thank you, our friend.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Best of the Tour is presented by Invisible Industries. Find us at www.bestofthettour.com and on all major streaming platforms, including Spotify and Apple Music. You can also catch Erica and Mike on their other podcast, Posters in Every Direction, streaming wherever you stream your podcasts from. A big thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next time.